They stormed my driveway at 11:02 a.m. on a sun-glared Saturday, clipboards raised like shields and neon vests flashing HOA compliance, as though that acronym granted them divine arrest powers. 2 golf carts screeched to a halt beside a row of card tables, displaying everything from my son's outgrown BMX to a porcelain rooster lamp my mother insisted was valuable. The taller enforcer, Betty Klein, chair of neighborhood appearance, jabbed a finger at a handwritten garage sale sign. "Ma'am, unauthorized sales are prohibited on Heritage Point property," she declared loud enough for half the cul-de-sac to hear. She addressed me as Mom because she didn't recognize me in faded jeans, Cubs cap, and dusty sneakers. That was the plan. The Homeowners Association was new, bloated with power, and blessedly oblivious to the fact that I, Amy Ruiz, was also Mayor Amy Ruiz, freshly re-elected to my 3rd term, overseeing the entire city of Briarwood Springs. I managed to hide a smile. The hook was baited, and the fish had arrived. 2 weeks earlier, my 12-year-old Daniel announced that every baseball card he owned was cringy, and he needed cash for gaming headsets. Meanwhile, my husband Miguel threatened to rent a dumpster if I didn't declutter the attic. Briarwood Springs was prepping its annual Founders' Day festival, and I'd been working 70-hour weeks on press and planning. A normal mother might have thrown everything on Facebook Marketplace, but a decade in public office teaches you the value of face-to-face smiles, especially in an HOA that had become notorious for pettiness. Heritage Point sprang up 7 years ago as a gated development on the city's east flank. 4 native brick homes, identical mailboxes, and lawns clipped to combat boot standards. They listed me as honorary resident when Miguel and I downsized into lot 2 to 27 after my first election. Unfortunately, the HOA's founding documents let a board rewrite rules with a simple majority vote. Betty Klein, a retired insurance auditor with a hydrangea obsession, seized presidency last fall. In 6 months, she'd banned basketball hoops, revoked porch light colors other than approved warm white, and outlawed visible trash cans sooner than 15 minutes before pickup. Residents whispered, complained, but complied, because moving is hard and fines add up. Yet city charter gave neighborhoods wide latitude unless conflicts reached municipal level. Few dared escalate. Reputations matter when every neighbor knows your Wi-Fi password through shared fences. I did not escalate either, until Betty's board posted a back-page bylaw update. No yard or garage sales permitted without board approval and $100 temporary commercial permit fee. They spun it as traffic mitigation. I saw it as a thin-skinned attempt to keep outsiders from glimpsing perfectly staged driveways. The irony? City code allowed garage sales up to twice a year with no fee, and city code outranks HOAs. In other words, Betty had picked the wrong driveway. Miguel said, "Just sign the HOA form." "Less drama," I said. "I run infrastructure bonds and crisis budgets. I can handle garage sale drama." Besides, the mayor's mansion, my modest suburban ranch, needed humility optics before Founders' Day. Friends advised me to warn. Betty, warning ruins surprises. So I organized the sale without a permit. I posted signs at Starbucks and the senior center, listed it on Nextdoor, and told Daniel he'd keep 30% of profits. He printed neon stickers, $1 for Hot Wheels, $5 for sets. Saturday dawn arrived with eggs yolk sky. We rolled out tables, strung, twined between the maples, and clipped Polaroids of items above bins, a staging technique I stole from a city economic development pop-up. Traffic trickled by 9, surged by 10. Neighbors chatted, kids sold lemonade, a jazz trio from the high school boosters set up. They owed me a favor. By 10:45, the street buzzed with minivan engines and distant car door thumps. Betty's HOA, nerve center, must have lit up like NORAD. Betty's tone was shrill enough to rattle the rooster lamp. "Ma'am, shut this down immediately. Article 4, Section B, Subparagraph 3. Commercial events require approval." I gestured to the tables. "This is a private domestic sale. City Code 1812 states I get 2 per year." Betty's sidekick Randall, with a mustache that resembled an upturned index finger, opened a binder thicker than a phone book. "HOA. Bylaws supersede unless explicitly preempted," he recited. "Incorrect," I said. "Legally, HOAs can't override municipal ordinances of consumer commerce, but I kept that ace hidden, still gathering an audience." People paused mid-haggle. Daniel froze by the baseball cards. Miguel appeared with a box of donuts from the garage. Catching the tension, Betty sniffed donut glaze disdainfully. She distributed violation slips, $250 fine plus $500 administrative assessment for non-compliance. "I'll see your assessment," I said, "and raise you a coffee." I poured her a paper cup. She ignored it, pivoted on orthopedic heels, and marched off in the golf cart. 2 minutes later, an HOA email blasted residents. "Illegal garage sale in progress. Avoid blockage." They attached a blurry photo of me, taken by Randall, captioned, "Non-compliant resident." Beautiful city reporters follow my Twitter alt. By noon, Channel 7's mobile van idled near the gate. They weren't inside yet. Security requires resident escort. I texted anchor Lexi Cho, "Need a positive small business story. Community resilience." She replied with a camera emoji. At 12:30, I spotted Lexi at the security kiosk, gesturing to credentials. The HOA guard shook his head. "Private property." I intercepted by golf cart, flashed my municipal ID, and invited them as my guests. Guard hesitated. I offered my trademark mayoral smile. Gates opened. Betty must have swallowed her hydrangeas when Channel 7 rolled up. Lexi mic'd me near the lemonade stand, framing tables of toys as civic engagement. Kids waved signs, half price, T-shirts. Meanwhile, an endless line of minivans turned Heritage Point into a circus. Lexi's producer asked, "Any comment on the HOA fine?" I said I respected community guidelines, but followed city law, period. The subtext buzzed louder than a weed whacker in Betty's hydrangeas. PM. Betty returned flanked by 2 off-duty police she'd hired, badges polished, arms folded. "Sale ends now," she barked. "Failure to comply equals trespass." The taller officer, Officer Santiago, locked eyes with me, recognition dawning. He'd attended my swearing-in last term. Mayor Ruiz," he whispered. Betty froze. "Mayor?" I removed the Cubs cap. "Good afternoon, Betty. Good afternoon, officers." I presented laminated copies of City Ordinance 1812 and a signed letter from the city attorney verifying residents' rights to yard sales. "Municipal code supersedes HOA bylaws," Officer Santiago confirmed. A statement caught on Lexi's open mic. The other officer stepped back, clearly uncomfortable. Betty's cheeks flared crimson. "Why didn't you apply for a permit?" I answered evenly. "Because no permit is required, and the HOA cannot invent fees that conflict with municipal law. You should have consulted the city clerk." She sputtered about community harmony. I gestured around, neighbors laughing, teens playing cornhole, local Rotary members browsing. Looks harmonious to me. But harmony wasn't enough. Accountability mattered. I tapped the microphone Lexi offered and spoke to the small crowd, plus thousands streaming at home. "I love Heritage Point. We moved here for the schools, the parks, and the neighbors. HOAs can protect property values, but they cannot bully or overcharge residents. Starting Monday, my office will propose an amendment clarifying that HOA fees or fines beyond routine maintenance must be approved by City Council and subject to in public comment. Garage sales up to twice annually will remain exempt citywide. If anyone here received a fine today, disregard it. My staff will follow through." Gasps turned to cheers. Betty retreated behind her clipboard. Channel 7 aired the segment hourly. Mayor shuts down HOA overreach. Social feeds exploded. By dusk, my inbox overflowed with tales from other HOA-plagued neighborhoods. City council members texted thumbs-up emojis. A few asked why I hadn't warned them. Politicians appreciate spectacle, but dislike surprises. I promised internal briefings. Betty called an emergency board meeting Sunday evening. She invited a city liaison. I sent Deputy City Manager Priya Patel, a contracts wizard. Priya laid out the legal minefield Betty had danced upon. Unauthorized fines constitute consumer protection violations, exposing the HOA to class action suits. Betty tried to negotiate. If we offered to grandfather future sales by requiring less paperwork? Priya smiled politely and said, "The mayor's amendment drops Tuesday. You can testify." Monday morning, 5 board members resigned. Betty stayed. Hydrangeas need pruning, but the board announced a bylaw suspension pending. Review. Council chambers packed Tuesday night like playoff seating. TV cameras perched on tripods, residents clutching violation slips queued at the mic. I presented Ordinance 2204, Homeowners Association Accountability Act, requiring HOAs to register fee schedules with the city clerk, capping fines at $100 without council approval, mandating third-party mediation before property liens, and guaranteeing homeowners' rights to state and city-sanctioned activities. Garage sales, solar panels, peaceful assembly. Proponents argued for freedom. A few HOA lobbyists cried government intrusion. The vote 5-2 in favor. Mayor signature immediate. Lexi Cho's headline, Mayor Ruiz ends HOA fine fiesta. Memes blossomed. Betty's face superimposed on a stop sign. Daniel's baseball cards netted 87. He bought the headset and donated $20 to the jazz trio. Miguel admitted the attic looked breathable for the first time in a decade. The porcelain rooster lamp? Sold to Officer Santiago's mother, who thought it hilarious. 2 weekends later, Heritage Point hosted a community swap meet on the common green. Betty attended, folding chairs with practice. She brought hydrangea cuttings labeled free. I bought one. Political victories taste better with forgiveness, even if they bloom purple instead of HOA-approved white.